You read the title, and I'm just as shocked as you probably are. I've always held Der Eisendrache as my favorite, given that it is the best one and all. However, upon reflection, there are many things about Zetsubou that make me like it more. Most of all is how unique the map is. There are also quite a few big issues on the map, though, some of which stem from that uniqueness. I'm not going to look away from these problems to prop up the map. I love Zetsubou in spite of its issues. Let's get right into it, starting with why I love the map. One of the biggest reasons I enjoy the map is that I love the setting. ZNS takes place on a dark island ravaged with the twisted experiments of Division 9. The plant life has grown out of control and the wildlife has mutated. Division 9 is responsible for both of these aberrations. On each end of the island, you'll find a lab. Lab A high up to the left side, and Lab B down low in the wetland to the right. Labs A and B were where Division 9 conducted experiments on wildlife and prisoners. I really enjoy the designs of these places. I don't know what you'd call this style of building, but the reasons I like them are because of how high they're suspended and the cubic design. Near Lab A, you'll find a cave where the spiders on the map live. Directly outside is a glowing pool of water contaminated by 115. Above are the webbed-up corpses of various soldiers and scientists. Around Lab B, you'll find the side of the bunker, where the pipeline you'll be using is. Next to that is another pool of water, this one green with 115. Near the spawn is a ruin where you'll find an altar containing 4 marked skulls. Surrounding the altar are 4 pillars with symbols you'll recognize from Shadows of Evil and Der Eisendrache. These symbols indicate the origin of the ruin being the Keepers. Another location is the plane wreckage. There's not much to analyze about this. However, you may have noticed other wrecks around the map. I love the implication that planes are pretty much cursed to crash around here. I mean, if you looked up at any point, you've probably seen the airplane with a burning wing dropping perk machines. That's not even to mention the one you yourself will shoot down. Deeper into the island is the bunker, which is my favorite location on the map. Inside is an armory, an AA gun, a control center, the power station, living quarters, a specimen lab, a flooded tunnel, and finally a prison deep below. Each of these locations has a consistent tone, and each room brings different things to the table. The first room, the armory, is exactly as it sounds. The only thing out of the ordinary here is the fact that it's in disrepair. To the right is the AA gun, which is outdoors amidst crumbling walls. Beyond the armory is the control center, the main room of the bunker that you'll need to go through to get to every other area. It's filled with glowing green monitors, and in the center of the room below everything else is a flooded platform with pack-a-punch sealed off from the rest of the room. To the left of the control center's entrance is the power station, where you'll find out that the facility runs on hydropower. Unfortunately, the mechanism is in disrepair, which is apparent instantly due to a row of green lights interrupted by a red one. Heading back and to the right of the control room is the living quarters. More like the dead quarters. I'm funny, I promise. The room is flooded, and anyone who happened to be in there was webbed up by the spiders. This room is really uncomfortable to be in for me. I can't quite place why, but the living quarters is the creepiest part of the map for me. The final path from the control room leads to the specimen lab. Upon entering, you'll see one of the most striking images on the map. 6 glowing test tubes with people inside overgrown by plants. The floor below is the actual lab. Once again, the place is flooded. Here you'll find the other end of the pipeline you saw at Lab B. To the side is a construction tunnel that was never completed and is completely underwater. The final area of the bunker is the prison. It's deep below the rest of the facility, and you'll need to repair an elevator to get there. Since repairing that elevator is a big part of the main quest, I'll hold off on going into the prison for now. To end off this section, I'd like to talk about the colors of Zetsubou. I think they're used very well on this map. The map's primary color is obviously green. The natural plant life of the island is a deep, dark green, as opposed to Division 9's experiments, which are a bright, unnatural green. The warmly colored orange infection spots around the map stand out in a way that draws your attention. The various waters around the map glow with vibrant blues, greens, and purples. They stand out and are really nice to look at. Finally, there's the bright blues on the map, which represent the more magical objects. I like doing the small color analysis, honestly. I wish I did it for Der Eisendrache as well, but hey, that marks everything I enjoy about ZNS's atmosphere. What better to follow up on that than the actual layout of the map? I believe the layout of Zetsubou is the weakest overall in Black Ops 3. However, the fact that the layout is still good says a lot about the quality of the BO3 map lineup. In the starting room, you'll spawn in the water and swim onto shore, where the first thing you'll see is one of the ritual altars. Beyond is an elevated area that leads to 2 paths. Both paths lead to a lab, and each end of the map is essentially a mirror of the other. On the side leading toward Lab A is a narrow path that has a perk machine and a webbed-off power-up. To the side is the plane wreckage, a fairly open spot with a box location and a ritual altar. Reaching Lab A, you'll see that this area continues the claustrophobic trend of the path. In the center of the area, directly under the lab, is a more open spot where you can lure a spider for a wonder weapon part. At the far end of Lab A is the blue 115 water, and the cave you'll enter later for the spider boss fight. Branching off of Lab A and bridging toward Lab B is the bunker's entrance. It's sealed until you've powered both lab's generators. The area outside the bunker is easily one of the better areas to train on the map. Past here is Lab B, which is ever so slightly more open than Lab A. It's still a pretty dangerous area for the most part, except for the spot surrounding the green 115 water. To the left of the water is an elevated path with one of the perks. Behind the other door out of spawn is the altar where you'll find the skulls and challenges. There's also a perk machine nearby. This area is another of the safer spaces on the map. Safe for Zetsubou, that is. Now that we've covered the rest of the map, we can go into the bunker. It's easily the most dangerous place to be on the map because of how tight it is and how easily you can get cornered. You really don't want to get caught in here at the start of the round. The best part about the bunker is definitely how you go through it to unlock power and pack-a-punch, which we'll get into right now. Labs A and B have temporary generators that are fueled by the 115 water on the island. You have to activate both of them before you can open the bunker. Once you open it, you're met with the welcome party. You'll be met by a few zombies on the verge of turning into thrashers. If you're quick enough and are well armed, you can kill them all before that happens. But I find it pretty difficult to do that before at least one turns. After dealing with them, you can enter, and the first thing you'll see is Juggernog. Salvation! I gotta say, it's quite cruel to withhold it until this point. Upon further investigation, you'll see that the pack-a-punch is in the central room of the bunker, but it's flooded and locked off. Your goals from here are to turn on power permanently and open up the PAP. Neither is as simple as it usually is, but I find both are fun. Since you'll probably want to turn on power first, you'll be going left. This time it's not going to be as easy as flipping a switch. What you'll have to do is repair it first. The process of repairing power is very unique on this map. You'll have to go underwater and unclog one of the fans. Once you do that, you have to start a short lockdown event. I'm glad they have this because it's pretty fun to fight zombies underwater. The added layer of worrying about air supply is pretty cool in small doses. Once you've survived the lockdown, you'll find a piece of machinery on the ground that will be used as one of 3 parts to fix PAP. Then you'll exit the water and now you can flip the switch. Cool, power's on. Now all you gotta worry about is PAP. Since you found one part in this branch, you could probably intuit that the other 2 parts are on each other path as well. Since I usually go down the right branch toward the living quarters next, we'll talk about that. This is the least interesting section of the bunker gameplay-wise, but it's the most dangerous because there's only one way in and out. It's also the one you'll need to be in for the least amount of time, at least. For our purposes now, all you need to do is melee the webbed soldiers until you find the one with the PAP part. For the final part, you'll be going down the main branch to the laboratory. In order to obtain this PAP part, you'll need to swim down the flooded tunnel on the lower level. Now that you got all 3, you can just put each part on the machinery in the control room, and PAP is now available. I just focused on PAP and power for this section, but you'll also be doing other things on each path. The room adjacent to power is one of the skull altars you've been looking for, and so does the laboratory. On top of that, the lab has one of the parts for the wonder weapon at the bottom of the flooded tunnel, as well as the place where you'll put them all together. While I do really enjoy each individual section of the bunker, I dislike how it's laid out. I just wish it were more interconnected. It makes sense why it isn't, at least, and I'm sure the decision to separate each section was deliberate given how claustrophobic the bunker is. At least in the lab section of the bunker, you can make a quick escape from the pipeline into Lab B. On the other hand, the bunker has an alternate entrance from Lab A's zip line. It's only useful situationally, but I do like how they use it for the quest, even if it's stressful as hell. The only other way out of the bunker, aside from the main doors, is near the AA gun in a broken wall that's there to allow you escape if you use the fan trap. As many grievances I have with the layout of the bunker itself, the individual sections are all great. Each one serves a good purpose in the quest and general map progression. For the next topic, something I couldn't figure out how to segue into. I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I really like the buildables on this map. I admit the sheer amount can be overwhelming, but each item isn't that difficult to get. The only ones you really need to go out of your way for are the Masamune parts because you need to do your challenges for one of them. The best thing about all the buildables on the map is that all of them are useful. The other buildables are the Almighty Zombie Shield, the Gas Mask, which provides a good counter to the infection bubbles and also allows you to stay underwater longer, the KT-4, which is pretty easy and fun to get, and finally there's the PEP parts, which are easily obtained through basic map progression. Really, I don't have much to say about these, but I understand if you think it's too much. I just don't really care because it's not like you really need a guide to find everything. The weapons introduced to Zetsubou no Shima are one of the best parts of the map for me. For one, they added some great stuff to the box. There's the MX Garand, a rifle that you can't reload manually, but is exceptionally powerful, the Marshalls, which are pistols as powerful as shotguns, and a perfect anti-thrasher tool, the Razorback, which is a pretty good AR, and finally, the HG-40. It's like the MP40, but HG. Zetsubou's wonder weapon is the KT-4. Oh my god, I freaking love this thing. It's similar to the Sliquifier from Die Rise, but it's cool. You have to build it by juicing a spider, finding a plant in the flooded tunnel, and getting a test tube from a random zombie. The KT-4 kills zombies by growing plants inside them. It's really cool looking, and it kills quickly to boot. You can also upgrade the KT-4 by jumping through hoops. It's a pain, but it's worth it. For the blue vial, you need to complete all your challenges so you can electrocute your shield, and then zap a control panel in Lab B to get into a cage and go underground. It's really cool, but it's pretty annoying to get there. The second part is another plant. This one's not hard, but tedious. You have to plant a seed at the bottom of the flooded tunnel and water it with rainbow water for 3 rounds. And finally, there's the spider tooth, which you get from killing the giant spider. Once upgraded, the KT-4 becomes the Masamune. It's so extremely powerful, it's genuinely ridiculous. The charge shot just kills. That's all I can say to get across how strong this thing is. The final weapon added to the map, the Specialist, is the Skull of Non-Sapue.
Such a weapon will make the dead tremble.
It's obtained by doing various rituals around the map where you defend an altar where you place skulls. The skull itself is an extremely powerful weapon that pretty much vaporizes anything it's aimed at. I really enjoy how strong it is, and furthermore, I like how it's used in the quest to reveal hidden areas. The weapon selection they added onto the map is honestly perfect, and it's a big reason why I love it so much. I love how the new guns are strong and unique, and the wonder weapons are comically overpowered. I mean, what better to have on a difficult map than an OP weapon? Gotta love it. I have no idea what the consensus is on the gardening system, but I really like it. It's so versatile and pretty much everything you could get from it is useful. How it works is that zombies will occasionally drop seeds that you can plant in water for 3 rounds. These plants can also be fertilized with the KT-4 to increase their quality. Depending on what waters you use, you'll get a different type of plant. The plant types are this. There's a basic plant that'll give you a drop or a gun, a claw plant that'll save a crawler for you, a perk plant that'll either give you a free perk or make you vomit. This plant makes Zetsubou the only BO3 map that you can have every perk on without using a gobblegum or completing the quest. There's a lure plant that'll attract and kill any zombies in the area. This is the only one that can be detrimental if you're trying to save zombies. But last but not least, the imprint plant, which you can use to respawn after death and regain everything you had upon first interacting with it. The plant system is one of the reasons that I'd consider Zetsubou my favorite Black Ops 3 map. There's nothing like it anywhere else in zombies. Zetsubou is full of small Easter eggs that enhance the map's tone. One that comes to mind immediately is the hallucination, which I've never experienced firsthand, but it's the test tubes in the lab turning red. There's also the round 50 distant beast and the jump scares. The song for Zetsubou is Dead Flowers, which is the only Maluka song in Black Ops 3. As it so happens, it's my favorite Maluka song. There are some points where the lyrics kinda stumble, but overall I really like it. Once again, it comes down to fitting the map. The main quest is underwhelming compared to what came before it in Dreisendrach. There's nothing so cinematic as a rocket crash or the moon exploding. I wonder if they didn't have anything like that to match the more quiet tone of the map. In terms of gameplay, Zetsubou's quest is quite simple. Most of it is just basic map progression. There's not really a concrete start to the quest because of that. To put it simply, once you've obtained everything you can get on the map, you're 2/3 done with the quest. Typically, at the start of a game, you'll go to the altar to check your challenges. Since you'll need to do all three, getting a good set is very important and is the difference between a good run and a bad run. You'll be completing these in between other objectives. The first thing you'll need to do to get things going is obtaining the Skull of Non-Sopway. Once you got it, you have to use the Mesmerize ability on the poster in the living quarters, and a door in the armory. This reveals a mechanism that is missing 3 cogs. Getting these is the entire quest. The cogs can be obtained in any order, so it's really up to personal preference which ones you go for first. The first cog I usually go for is the Anywhere But Here one. It's a little annoying that you need a certain gum to complete the quest, but honestly that doesn't affect me because I always have it equipped anyway. Just use the gum and you'll teleport to a room above Lab A with one of the cogs. This room also has a cool teaser for Garad Krovi in the broken or hatched dragon eggs. The next cog requires the electrified shield. You'll have to have completed all your challenges for that. Once you've done that, go up to Lab A's zipline and zap the control panel. The next moments are life or death and make for the most stressful moment of the quest for me. Once you're on the zipline, you gotta time your drop perfectly, or it's a swift, watery death for you. Although you can come back if you have quick revive or an imprint plant. Now that you got the second cog, you're nearly done. For the final one, you need the KT4. You have to grow drop plants with blue water and fertilize them. Eventually, one of the plants will give you an AA round. You have to use this to shoot down a plane with the AA gun. If timed correctly, the plane will go down, and the cog will be in one of 3 places around the map. Track it down, and now you can repair the elevator mechanism. But wait, before you go down, make sure that you have upgraded the KT4 to the Masamune. Once you've done that, you can go and fight the boss. It's not the hardest fight, but it can be a bit annoying. I'll go further into detail when I talk about the enemies. For now, let's talk the end cutscene. Zetsubou's ending is undoubtedly my favorite of all the series, even before now. Takeo meets his Ultimus self, who had been imprisoned and experimented on by Division 9 under orders of the Emperor. The exchange the 2 versions of him have is amazing, and I think I'll just let it play out.
Takeo Musaki, I did not believe I would find you in such a place. I was a warrior. I fought many great battles for the glory of our nation, for the honor of the dying samurai spirit. I was a hero. I share this memory. I have lived many of the same victories. I later learned that my victories were unwelcome. His betrayal was driven by petty jealousy. He knew I could endure anything, that I feared not even my own death. Punishment is one thing. This is cruelty. Who could be so evil as to desire another soul to endure such suffering? Who amongst us could be so dishonorable? Are you so blinded by your own loyalty? The orders came from the Emperor himself. My life, my path, is built upon a lie. This realm may have been corrupted and consumed by evil, but we possess the power to change things. The better tomorrow is only possible if we blow away the ashes of the past. None of us choose the means by which mercy will find us. But I am at peace. I understand what must be done. Will you be my kaishakunin? It is my honor.
It marks a big shift in Takeyo's character that isn't as felt in Dempsey and Nikolai because it shakes his entire worldview when he learns of the Emperor's betrayal. His life was dedicated to a man who just threw him away like it was nothing. Overall, the Zetsubou quest is underwhelming compared to its predecessor, but it's fairly easy, and the ending of it is one of my favorite story moments in Zombies. That's everything positive I've got to say about Zetsubou. As you've seen, there was a lot, and I'll be honest, it far outweighs the negatives I have. Since I got nothing good left to say, let's get a little bit annoyed, shall we? The new enemies on Zetsubou are fine. Of the 4 new enemies you'll fight on the map, I can't genuinely say I like any of them as much as the Panzers. The spiders aren't much of a problem to deal with, but for me they can be kind of annoying because I suck at shooting them. I actually really like how they web things up around the map though. It's inconvenient, but in a fun way, if that makes sense. The second enemy type added to Zetsubou is the Thrasher, which is really cool in concept, but not so much when there's suddenly 3 or 4 barreling down on you, being replaced every time you kill one of them. How they spawn in are the infection spores around the map, or just at the start of a given round. If a zombie's caught in the gas the spore releases when it's popped, it has a chance of mutating into a Thrasher. When it does, it's pulled underground by roots. This is your last chance to kill it before it mutates. If you fail to kill it, it'll become a Thrasher. They start off in a slow-moving state, but will become enraged after a time. They're really strong and can one-shot you even at full health with Juggernog, which is not really fair, but it is what it is. In multiplayer, if you're down, they can eat you, making it so your partners have to kill the Thrasher to revive you. I really like that, honestly. It's a unique aspect to an otherwise generic brute boss. Thrashers have weak spots around their body that are the main way to damage them. Upon death, they'll burst into infection gas, which may perpetuate the cycle of zombies mutating into them. If you're unlucky, multiple zombies will get caught in it in turn, causing you to have to fight a ton of Thrashers. It's just a big drain on resources, and that's the main problem. Thrashers don't give you anything when you kill them. I could see 2 fixes to the Thrasher issue. Either remove the gas they leave behind on death, or make them exclusively an enemy type that spawns every few rounds and remove the infection bubbles on the map. I personally think the former would be better because removing the spore gimmick of the map would take away from the uniqueness I like so much. Zetsubou has 2 fully fledged boss fights. The first one is the big spider in the cave near Lab A. You'll need the KT-4 to enter so you can remove the webbing. Then, you'll slide down into the cave and fight the boss. It's so easy, especially if you use an LMG. It puts up next to no fight aside from stabbing at you with its legs, which is easy to avoid. It can also spawn spiders and spit acid, but I never saw that in my runs. The way you kill it is just shoot it in the mouth. Even though the spider is really easy, it's just as cool. There's no indication you're about to fight a boss by entering the cave. You're just straight up jumped by the spider and have to fend it off. And on top of that, the rewards are really good, which just elevate the boss a little bit. For one, you get a Masamune upgrade part, but more importantly, you get Widow's Wine from the exit of the cave. Quick side note, I really enjoy when you get other ways to have perks than perk machines. Finally, the quest's final boss, the weird Giga Thrasher, or whatever. Okay, so I really like the introduction to the fight, where you ride the elevator down and enter a dark hallway that's been overgrown. You clear the overgrowth with the Masamune and hear roars from the distance with each one you clear. Once you enter the boss room, you're met with a prison where you'll see a very large Thrasher locked up. The fight just kinda happens. I don't even really know how it works. It pretty much just seems like running around a room with Thrashers and spiders and the occasional zombie. All I know about how the boss itself functions is that you have to shoot it when its glowing spots appear. The Thrashers that spawn into the arena are really the main threat, and they actually got me a few times, ending my first attempt then and there. Honestly, having so many Thrashers after you at once is terrifying. The main boss itself, though, I don't think you have to pay any attention to what he's doing. The boss fights over really quickly, and I'm sure if I wasn't an idiot and didn't get Thrashered 3 times, it would have been done even quicker. It's definitely a step down from Dreisendrach's Keeper boss, and that's really a shame. The selection of new enemies on Zetsubou is a mixed bag for the most part, and while I really enjoy the idea of Thrashers, the execution of them is more frustrating and annoying than enjoyable. Another thing I dislike about Zetsubou is the skull rituals. They're not bad, I simply am annoyed after doing them 4 times every game. The skulls, though, like the Masamune, is another case of an annoying process leading to a great reward. That being the skull of Non-Subway, obviously. I can cut it some slack somewhat for that. I've got one more negative thing here, and it's definitely a really small one. The intro cutscene. I don't think it's terrible or anything. In fact, some of the dialogue is downright iconic.
I'm sorry! I don't speak Japanese.
I am an envoy of the Emperor himself. I am no traitor!
My problems here come from that the cutscene just doesn't really represent Zetsubou. I wish it established the island a little bit more. Despite these problems with the map, I can't help but love it. While some of these issues could be seen as a complete turnoff to some people, you've heard all the good things I have to say about Zetsubou. It's far outweighed this section. That's why I couldn't call this video my love-hate relationship with Zetsubou. It brings too much good stuff to the table, and it has so many fun ideas that it makes up for its shortcomings. Zetsubou really is one of the most unique maps in the series, and since it's focused around my favorite character, of course I'm going to enjoy the story. To reiterate, the atmosphere, story, gameplay, systems, and secrets on Zetsubou solidify it as one of my favorite zombies maps in the series. I didn't get into it earlier, but I have a weird history with this map. I liked it at first, then after taking a break from zombies for a long while and coming back, I bounced off of it hard. Now that I'm doing these reviews and forcing myself to learn the map again, I've relearned why I like the map to begin with. And I'm glad about that. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you've enjoyed the video. I'm going to be working on some more zombies reviews in the future, alongside various Persona videos. Have a good day.